All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, still Sports Extra on Atlantic Television and Network. This evening, I've been joined by Kingsley Ipalibo. Kingsley, it's a beautiful evening. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Temple. It's such a wonderful time to be here once again.
So we'll start with the Nigeria Premier Football League, where a lot, is happening, and I can tell you for sure that the teams are now on the break. But then the international Rangers international coach Ekenedi Nichiku, aka, has questioned the officiating after his side 1-0 defeat to Rivers United with a late equalizing goal ruled out by referee Bashir Musa Buluwaji. That goal was scored in the 52nd minute. Header gave Rivers United the lead at the Adokia Mitsimaka Stadium, but the match was overshadowed by a controversial decision in stoppage time. In the 90th minute, a long throw caused confusion in the Rivers United defense, and the goalkeeper allowing Rangers defender Chidozie Iwundo to head the ball into an open net. Referee Bashir Musa Mukta, however, disallowed the goal, a decision that sparked protest from the Rangers players and officials. Speaking after the match, Eke said, acknowledged that the quality of the contest, but said that the manner of the defeat left him very unhappy. Nobody is always happy when they lose, but then when you lose in a controversial issues like scoring a goal and the goal is disallowed, can be very can truly make one very unhappy.
Yeah, it can make one unhappy, and that is why we are calling on the NFF and the NLC to help improve the referee decision and technology we have in our professional league. I mean, the first division of the Nigeria Professional Football League. When we ought to start using VR technology by now, we ought to start developing ourselves more to use more modern and technological assets to help improve the quality of the league. So I mean, other African countries have already started using the VR. We expect Nigeria to follow suit and do better, because we can't keep hearing same problem each and every match game. There's one team or the other complaining for one referee's decision or the other. So I mean, we need to work on how the technological aspect of our game, we need to improve and use more of the VR technology for me.
And I mean, VR, a lot of people tell you that VR, it can be very difficult. It takes a whole lot. Funding is required, So I'm just thinking, and that's one thing that also eluded Nigerians referee from being part of the African Cup of Nations. How do we go about ensuring that VR is that technology is part of our league going forward?
I think that has to do with investing. There needs to be investment, in the league. If you want the league to grow, you have to put money into the league. You have to invest in the league, and without that, and you need to have investment. Invest in the league, make the league look marketable enough, for people to come in, and want to invest their money. I mean, if you look at the likes of Britain, the likes of Spain, the football industry, brings them a whole lot of money, a whole lot of revenue into the country. And if these things are put in place, you would see investors coming in from each and every way. Imagine if in our match day squads, we have more electronic boards, in our stadiums. We have these VR technologies. I'm sure there will be, if there are better marketing structures, in the league, we'll see an increase in, investment into a lot of private companies want to invest in the league, to make it better. So, I mean, if we want those things to come in, we ourselves, we need to invest in the league also.
If we want those things to come in, truly, I want to be very intentional to invest in the league, and we hope that will be done. Still talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League, Eyimba FC interim coach Lawrence Ukebu has declared that the team's 3-0 victory over the Oluyole Warriors will spur them on to greater heights in the second stanza of the league. He made a declaration during the post-match media chat where he said the win has boosted the team's confidence and reignited the flame of their title chase on Eyimba's improved attacking consistency, which has seen them score more goals even in away matches. Coach Ukebu ascribed it to tactical adjustment, good planning, and meticulous, preparations. It looks like when you win, you make some lovely comments. But to him, he thinks that it is beyond just scoring. It's the fact that a lot of strategic input has been made. The must don't forget that they sacked coach Stanley Goma for poor results, and for him now, it looks like he's gradually rebuilding. But 3-0 win, a good result before going on the mid-season break.
Yeah, since the board took the decision to sack Stanley Goma, we've seen an improvement in this Eimba side. Coach Lawrence has been able to turn the things around and turn the tide around for this Eimba side. We've seen the attack, as you earlier said, more fluid. We've seen them play more attacking minded than when Coach Stanley Iguma was there. He was more conservative in how he plays. He doesn't wants to race the bottom. With this coach, and we're seeing them trying new things. They've been that tactical tweak. Like he said, the team is playing more freely, even though there's discipline in the squad. So it's been a good one for Coach Lawrence. But the question is, can he keep it moving? Can there be consistency? Can it be met up? Not I'm talking about getting into the title race. It's about gaining stability first as the team. So for me, he's jumping the goal for me now. He has to focus on stability. The team needs to become stable, to ensure that yes, they can fight for the trophy. But for now, they need to just ensure that they are stable, because just winning about 3 games doesn't make you stable enough and consistent. So we need to see it across the stretch of 10 games, 15 games. How are you going to perform? When you have key players out injured, how are you going to hold up your own side of the bargain? So he's for me, he's so happy yet. He's just an interim coach, and he just needs to put his head down on the ground, and work harder to ensure that this team is stable and consistent.
And then, of course, the league now will be on break at least at the end of January to get players ready. And you think that when you look at the Nigerian Premier Football League, you think that the standard of play has lived up to expectation in terms of meeting up to the level of the timing and the calendar from the European scene. That seems to be one area that we have so worked hard. But this time around, the way they're going, it looks like they're going to really get it right when it comes to the calendar and the timing of ending the season, just like the European League too.
Yeah, I must say, I must commend the NPFL and the LNC. They've been able to plan the season very well. The league and management company, they've been able to do well this season. Like Sheldon, they've been able to work hard, to ensure that the league is going the way it's supposed to go, and it's a good one. And we need to see this improvement. We need to see more things like this. These are the barest minimum that we should expect, and it's good that at least we are seeing the barest minimum, and improvements can be made from here upwards.
All right, let's move away from the league now. Let's talk about the Africa Cup of Nations. The 35th installment of the African Cup of Nations is ongoing, and I can tell you that the team Nigeria, currently battling against the Cranes. We'll take a look at, review those games, and talk about a lot of proceedings and more to expect on that particular one. I tell you, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, desire to get a maximum point to be hopeful of qualifying. But first off, Nigeria needs to finish top in the group to be sure of a lot. Let's talk about Nigeria's effort so far. They played against the Cranes, so we hope to bring the results soon, and they need at least a point to be sure that they get something from this one, maybe top the group, or maybe even get a maximum point and ensure that they are unbeaten. For the Cranes, they lost again. Okay, they lost in the first game and played 1-1 against Tanzania, and they will be needing everything possible, to also get 3 points for them would be enough to hope that they can qualify from the group.
Yeah, they've already qualified from the group, but now they're fighting for that top spot, to be, and have that, it's just extra bonus, getting that 100%, match record, in the group stage. It gives you more confidence, and it makes you look more dangerous, to the opponent. So for the Nigeria side, we've seen the coach, he's been able to make a little bit of tweak, in that formation. The likes of Uzoho coming in for an injured Stanley Wambale, and we have the likes of other players, Oyedika, who has not really seen minutes in this competition, being able to get time. Chijoke and Ejuke, also Moses Simon also starting this one. So he's been able to, make the lineup. We still have the likes of Gavin Bassey. They are still strong name in the lineup that are able to, be able to, match up with the Ugandans today. So I mean, with the way we are playing so far, I mean, it's just we've been a little bit impressive. So we hope to get all 3 points from this game.
So let's look critically on Team Nigeria. The squad list for today against the Cranes of Uganda. Let's start with. I'm sure you have the team list already.
Yeah, we've been able to look into the team list, and like I said earlier, there have been a little bit of changes, into the starting lineup. We have experience still mixed with, a lot of rookie players in the lineup. The experienced players, likes of Calvin Bassey, there are Moses Simon. These are players who know the national team. Rafael Oyeka also is also in that list. So I mean, you look at the defense line; they've been in a little bit of mix-up. Igor is also there in the team. So you look at Uzor also, trying to make a claim also for that starting spot. Stanley Wambali has not really been fantastic for the past previous games for Nigeria, but Stanley, this is the best chance, for Francis Uzoho, to stake a claim for himself. Looking at this match, so a lot of Nigerians are going to be watching. There are a lot of players that have not gotten, the opportunity they need, and the likes of Rafael Oyedika. I mean, this is the right opportunity, for him, to showcase why he truly should get a chance, in the starting lineup for the Super Eagles.
So you think that for the goalpost, starting with Uzoho, today might just be a time to see how far, if truly to get to test Uzoho, to know how far he can do better than, or the fact that the coach does think that, okay, since it's the last group game, nothing so much is really at stake.
Yes, I mean, they would want to, stress that man, Wambali, who has been the #1 goalkeeper for Nigeria. The coach said he had a little tweak, on his ankle, in the last game against Zambia. So, I mean, you wouldn't want to take those risks going into the last game. We don't really have anything to fight for in this game. So, I mean, it's better for you to rest Wambali, who is your first choice, and, give opportunity also to Francis Uzoho, to showcase himself too. So, I mean, it's a win-win situation, for both the coach and the player.
A win-win situation, and let's look at the defensive framework. And the coach did some jigging the last time when we played against Tunisia, removed the Zaidu Sanusi, and was able to allow Bruno Yembechi to play that particular wing. But then just look at this time around now, he has done some rejigging, with the intention that you get to see how far some of the players can be rested, which is also fantastic. That's why you go to a tournament like this with 28 players, pending any injury concern and all that. But then I hope this magic works, in favor against the Cranes of Uganda.
Yeah, we've been able to see a more structured lineup for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. He's been able to make some tweak. Let's see what that man is cooking over there. I mean, we have a front three of Moses Simon and Monwachu, and you talk about Victor Osimhen. There in the midfield, they have Oyedika, Dele Bashiru, and Chukwueze, and the back line you have Alebosu, Ogbu, Basi, and Bruno Oyemichi. So I mean, this is a set of defense that has not played together. I'm not sure these players have played together, as a pair. So it's going to be a tricky one for Nigeria. We do not expect to see enough chemistry. So I'm not really sure about the outcome of this game. But I mean, these guys are professionals, and they also have Bruno Oyemichi has not been able to hold down that left back row when he has been given the opportunity. So let us hope he might be better than what we see. And Lebosu, this is an opportunity for him to stake a claim for that right back position. So it's a game where these players are given the opportunity, to show what they can actually do if they are given the opportunity to play, because some of them have not actually been given that much opportunity going into the competition. And I'm so happy, with this midfield pairing. I mean, having the likes of Chukwueze, I don't know if it's Chukwueze or not, who will drop to the midfield, but it's looking like a tricky situation with, it's a 4-4-2 formation. So we have Dele Bashiru and Oyedika, as the pivot there, the two pivot. And we have Chukwueze and Moses Simon on the wings, and we have talking about Osimhen and Onwachi, leading the line. So it's a different one from Nigeria from what we've seen in the previous game, rather than the 3-man midfield now. We are seeing, a 2-man midfield which Nigeria has not really played well and has also shown weakness for us in our defense. So I mean, backing it up with the defense line that has not played together before, and this midfield that I'm not so sure of. Whenever we play in the two-man midfield, we struggle. So it's going to be a tough one for Nigeria going forward for me.
Tough one, and you think that the Cranes of Uganda has what it takes to really upset the Super Eagles today?
I mean, this team has not, like I said earlier, this is not a well balanced team. This is not I'm not impressed with the lineup with what we have seen so far. But we look at the Ugandans; they need this victory more than Nigeria. You know, they are fighting for a place, you know, in the next stage of this competition. So I mean, it's about who wants it more. And currently looking at the lineup Nigeria has put up, and looking at how they've played and how Uganda, you know, wants it more, how Uganda are pressing for it, it tells you that these people actually really wants to go through. So I mean, it's going to be a dicey one for Nigeria.
From the lineup, Victor Osimhen for the first time will be captaining the Super Eagles of Nigeria. How do you see this one panning out for him?
I mean, looking at the players and the lineup, I expected Moses Simon, you know, to be the captain of the side, given that I personally do not see Osimhen as a captain material. Yeah, he's that man that scores the goal, he's that man, but I feel he does not have the temperament, you know, to be the captain. I mean, you do not want your captain being the one.
But arguably, Palebo, he's one man who a lot of person have touted that if he's not in the Super Eagles mix-up, it's difficult for the Super Eagles to win.
Yeah, that doesn't make him a captain material. I mean, despite being that proficient goal scorer, I mean, that does not make up for you being a captain. I mean, you look at him, he's someone who, for me, he throws tantrum a lot, you know, on the field of play. And you do not want to see that kind of thing, you know, from your captain personally. You do not want to see your captain being the one who is always complaining, who is always shouting. You want your captain to be the one who's able to go out to the referee, you know, to talk to the referee. He's the one who's able to calm down his teammate. And I do not see Victor Osimhen, you know, as that player. He's someone who had a lot of energy to the team, you know. He leads the players, you know, but you don't need to wear the captain armband, you know, to be a leader in the team. In different teams, you know, they have different leaders who do not wear the captain armband. So for me, Osimhen for me is that leader who does not need the captain armband. For the captain, you need someone who is more level-headed, you know, who is more he is level-headed. He knows how to communicate with the referee. He's not always of a high temperament. So for me, Victor Osimhen is not just the captain material. I would fancy Moses Simon, you know, wearing that captain armband. And regardless, Moses Simon has also stayed longer. You know, he's one of the most experienced players too, you know, in the lineup for me too.
But for Super Eagles of Nigeria's Victor Osimhen, he scored 32 goals in 48 appearances for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. That can be a very lovely numbers when you put that together.
I mean, he's already etching his name, you know, in the history books. I know his eyes is going for that #1 spot. You know, he's eyeing to be that highest goal scorer for Nigeria. I mean,
and arguably, it will just take him 5 more goals, you know, to catch up with Yakini.
Yes, and
actually Yakini's era.
Obviously, do, but I mean, doing all those without meaning, you know, not anything tangible for the Super Eagles. I mean, to some people, it doesn't mean anything. For the most important thing for Victor Osimhen, I'm sure Victor Osimhen will be able to sacrifice his goals, you know, for an AFCON, you know, this tournament. So the most important thing for Victor Osimhen right now, you know, is getting his hands, you know, on that AFCON. You know, he's come so close, you know, on, you know, 2 different occasions, but he's not been able to get his hands on that one. So I mean, getting an AFCON, you know, would be a big boost for Victor Osimhen.
A big boost for Victor Osimhen. And when you look at the way things are going right now, it tells you for sure that Nigeria will be preparing. In this game, it will be 91 time for Moses Simon. Beautiful one for a player like him. And then debut for Ryan Alebosu. Osimhen will be the one leading that side. 91 times he has played. I mean, 9 more games to clock the 100 game time for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So like you said, when you play 91 times, it tells that truly you have been in the team and you have gone far.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Moses Simon, he has been that player who has been there, you know, during the transition time of the Super Eagles. You know, he's been there from Genetro down to the coach we have now talking about, Eric Chell. You know, he's seen, you know, he was part of that. He got a glimpse of the 2013 squad that won the AFCON, and he's been part of those. He played with most of those players, the likes of Mikel Obi, Ogeyo Nazi. He played with a lot of those players, and he still saw the new generation of players, the likes of Calvin Bassey. You know, so I mean, he's one player that has understood this Super Eagles setup and how Nigerian football works. You know, he's been around for the longest of time. So for me, Moses Simon is that captain material. I mean, he's level-headed. You do not always see him. I can rarely count the time I've seen an angry Moses Simon on the pitch. So I mean, he's someone who has control over his temper and his temperament. So Moses Simon is that captain material for me.
Let's move away from that and let's talk about other games. This is just the first game, and then following that particular one, Tunisia will also battle. Same time in the group, will play against the Tanzanian side, the Tiafa Stars of Tanzania. For Tunisia, all they need to do today is to get to win that game, and they are sure of qualification.
Yes, they ought to win that game against. Talking about what they need actually is
a draw.
To get to the next stage of the competition. But if they're not able to get that draw, I mean, it's all up for grabs, in the group it depends on who has the highest goal scored. So I mean, it's going to be a tough one for Tunisia. Looking at it, Tanzania, they gave Nigeria a tough time, but Tunisia has shown that they've always been, the superior nation when it comes to football, and when you look at the both sides on paper. So it's going to be a tough one also for Tunisia. But I always see them going through because they have more experience, when it comes to the continental stages.
More experience when it comes to the continental stages, and a lot to talk today at the Prince Molly Abdullah, Stadium. It promises to be a very tough one. But then we'll come to all of that in a jiffy. Let's take a look at games that were played yesterday, in the Africa Cup of Nations. Some of the results: Comoros, in group. Also that game, in Group A, played a goalless draw with Mali. I mean, with Mali, yes, I think it ended goalless in that particular one. Comoros holding Mali. Mali have qualified, no doubt, but I couldn't have believed that Mali would not be able to get maximum point against Comoros.
I mean, Mali has been able to use draws, to
to qualify
into the next stage of the competition. Any which way is a way, as long as they've gotten into the next stage. But we are hoping that Mali will do better. I mean, they are one of those teams that when going into this competition, you do not want to face them because they always are those stubborn teams that will give problems. So I'm looking at Mali. I'm so happy they've been able to qualify, but the performance from them has been a little bit abysmal. We expect more from the Malian side.
If you talk about abysmal, how will you now rate the game between Zambia and Morocco yesterday night?
I mean, Morocco were not up to par. I mean, they made Brahim Diaz look like Messi, the way they play. So I mean, it was an easy one for Morocco, looking at how they were able to beat Zambia. So Morocco has also qualified into the next stage of the competition. So it's a good one that Morocco has qualified. I mean, the home nation. But Zambia, for me, that was an abysmal performance from them too. I mean, the group. It did not live up to the expectation. We expected more from this group. Having the likes of Zambia, having Morocco in your group. We expect more from these teams. We expect this group to be a little bit tough, but it has turned out to be one of the easiest groups so far.
And earlier we saw the game between Angola and Egypt. They ended goalless in that particular one, and Egypt have qualified.
Yeah, Egypt has qualified, into the next stage of the competition. Although it hasn't been easy for them. Looking at also the controversies, over their last game in South Africa, and now being able to edge, this one. It's a good one for Egypt also. I mean, if the competition is getting hotter, we are seeing the big teams, they are going down. The big teams are being eliminated, and the ones who are stronger, are progressing into the next stage of the competition. I mean, it's from here where the competition, heightens, the hype and increase, is getting to its climax. Teams it's who is best on the day, going into those knockout stages, and that's where you see the best football in the competition. So I mean, better days ahead, in the competition for me.
And then if you look at Zimbabwe, lost yesterday, a very tricky game to South Africa. 3-2 ended the field of South Africa, and South Africa too looks like a team on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good loss to South Africa, looking at how they struggled against, Egypt, not being able to get the victory in that game. We knew that it's going to be a tough one for South Africa, but they were able to get that victory because Comoro Island, have been, even when they played Morocco, they were, when they played the last game, they were a very tough team. For Angola was a tough team, going to draw 0-0 with Egypt, was a tough one. But Egypt had already qualified into the next stage of the competition, so it wasn't really needed for Egypt didn't really need that victory. It was more of just them testing new players, relaxing the other players. So it's a good one that we are seeing these games, but it's a sad one that also goals were not scored in that encounter for me.
Good on squad, and I tell you, a lot of preparations, and let's see how it goes. This there will be more games to expect tonight, as we hope to see how the games will play out in this African Cup of Nations. With that, I'm going to short break. When we come back, we'll take you through the English Premier League, where games are expected tonight, and then we'll also climax with some other talking points. Don't go anywhere. It's Sports Extra here on Atlantic Television Network. All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us now, it's still Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network, and it's the second half of the show. Let's talk about club football now, away from the African Cup of Nations, and let's look at games that we be on, in the English Premier League today. Palabon, good to still have you here. Let's start with the one that we played at Toughmore. Burnley will take on Newcastle United. 7:30 p.m. this evening. It promises to be a cracker. Look, Burnley so far have not been very fantastic, but then at Toughmore, playing against Newcastle United, who also had some, not a very good run last week. I'm sure that they will have to pick themselves up and see what they can get in this particular one. What do you make of this?
I mean, for Burnley, they started the season a little bit fantastic. They showed those glimpses of hope, but they've been struggling recently, and they are just in and around of that relegation area. And I mean, they would want to finish the year on a good note. They want to win a game, and also you look at this Newcastle team, they are better on the ball, but when you look at their away games so far this season, they have not been fantastic. Away they often concede when it comes to transition games. So I mean, you look at both teams, they need this victory. I mean, Burnley has been able to be defensive, very solid defensively at when you talk about the Toughmore, but you look at this Newcastle side, they have been inconsistent, and this gives me doubts for this their game against Burnley, because I mean, Burnley would want to finish the year, with a victory, to at least get a little bit of air to breathe air, from these relegation battles. They do not want to be mixed up in this relegation battle. So I mean, it's going to be a tough one. I highly predict that it's going to be maybe a draw. It's a highly I believe this is going to be a draw match, between Burnley and Newcastle, because I mean, Newcastle would want to fight for the win, but away, when you look at their away form, they've been poor, and this team they are still fragile, when it comes to away games. And look at the number of goals they've scored, during transition has been a big problem for this Newcastle side for me.
So you think that for Newcastle United, the possibility of getting, they kind of struggle tonight in getting maximum results? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but you have to also put in context that this Newcastle side, have the better products when it comes about the final third. I mean, they have better quality in the final third, so that's going to be an edge also for Liverpool and for Newcastle. And they need to, if they are going to be able to, if Sunderland is going to be able to get that goal, if Sunderland is not going to be able to get that goal, it's going to be open. It's going to be an open game, because I mean, Newcastle will be able to score out of nothing, because they have that there's this golfing class when it comes to the final third. They have the superior final third. So for me, I will expect end-to-end spells. It's going to be a match that's going to keep fans at the edge of their seat. But Newcastle are going to be slightly superior, but Burnley is not going to give up without a fight.
Okay, let's see how it goes. And Chelsea will take on Bournemouth this evening same time.
Yeah, Chelsea has been inconsistent, losing some winnable games, recently. So Bournemouth, they've started well this season, but they've struggled lately. It's been a problem for Bournemouth, and they've struggled lately. And also with the likes of Artur Semenyo is still in the squad. It's a good one for them. He's going to, after this game, this might probably be his last game for Bournemouth. So you look at the game, the efficiency in the final third. Chelsea has not been fantastic. You look at their attacking wise. Did they really upgrade from last season? I mean, Nicholas Jackson was not that efficient when it comes to goal scoring, but his general play was better than the option, the likes of Liam Delap right now. Liam Delap has not been able to give half of what Jackson gave Chelsea last season. So I mean, Chelsea has made a big mistake. They have not upgraded on their attack. I mean, selling Madueke for Gittins has not been a good buy also, and Kevin Dewsbury, leaving also the team. I mean, this was one season where Kevin Dewsbury would have been able to show what he really has, but they replaced them with the likes of Estavo, who is not a Premier League proven player. Estavo has struggled recently, due to the physicality of the league. So it has not been easy for this Chelsea team. I feel like they made bad sales when it comes to the attack problem of the team, and Palmer has not been up to his best recently. So it has been a problem for this Chelsea side. But coming up against a Bournemouth who has also struggled recently, I mean, it's supposed to be a low-scoring game for me, but I still expect Chelsea, to get all 3 points.
And then, how will you say about Everton traveling to play Nottingham Forest?
Everton has been a little bit, they've improved, ever since David Moyes came into the side. They've been around that mid-table area, but they are still inconsistent. And you look at Nottingham Forest, they've been dilly-dallying around the relegation zone. So it tells you that this is going to be a tough match because both teams want to stay consistent. And Nottingham Forest have not been able to get points in recent games. But I mean, we saw their performance against Manchester City. That was a much better performance from this side. And Sean Dyche is going to play against his old team, talking about Everton. So it's going to be a tough team. Two defensive sides coming to play. So it's going to be end to end. With the game is going to be played in the midfield. It's going to be very physical. Forest at home, might just be able to edge this one out if they stay disciplined.
Let's see how it goes. And the West Ham under Nuno Espirito Santo have been very, very, dampened by poor results in recent time. How good will they be against Brighton tonight? Brighton themselves lost to Arsenal the last time.
Yeah, you look at this West Ham team. They've been weak historically. In this fixture, and they are in a poor run of form. And you look at also this Brighton team. They've been inconsistent, but they have the structure and they are good in transition play. So West Ham is going to focus more on long balls, and try to be good on set pieces. But the risk is being punished on the break. We've seen on this West and Brighton side, they are very good when it comes to transition. So I mean, those are the key aspects of the game. But it's going to be a tough one, But I still see Brighton maybe trying to get all 3 points there.
Well, let's see how it goes. And the big game, arguably, the person want to look into is that game between Arsenal and Aston Villa. This game is coming rather too early, but it's still one of the big games to watch out for.
Yeah, it's one of the big games to watch out for, especially looking at what it means. You look at it's going to, if Arsenal eventually do not win this game or get all 3 points, I mean their position at the top of the table is going to be at risk. Because I'm looking at how Manchester City is pursuing them, and also you look at Aston Villa having been on a 10-game streak already, winning streak, and Manchester City stronger than ever before. So it's going to be a tough one for Arsenal. Arsenal is seriously under pressure in this fixture, and Aston Villa, Unai Emery has been someone who has known how to play this Arsenal side. Arsenal has not been able to beat Unai Emery in the Emirates, since he left Arsenal. So it's going to be a tough fixture. If Arsenal is able to win these games, I mean, it's going to be a good one for them, positively, with them having some of their major players, getting back into the team. So they just have to, pass the hurdle one at a time. So getting to win this game is going to be, a good victory for Arsenal. And also, Aston Villa has been fantastic, but Arsenal at home, and I fancy them, to get all 3 points in this encounter.
But then the Liverpool will tell you that Aston Villa, the more they get more results, the better for them, and the more better they are enhanced. I'm just thinking that, like you said, those stats we might just not play in their favor. It depends on the team Arteta decide to set up tonight against them.
Yeah, it's going to be a game that Arsenal is going to look, to control possession, use the width and, be incisive in transition. The key challenge is going to be breaking down, Aston Villa disciplined defense, which they failed to do in the last game. The midfield, their midfield is also organized, and the low defensive block, deep defensive block. This Aston Villa side, they also possess, they are a big threat when it comes to, counter-attacking. And also Oli Watkins has found his mojo back. He has been able to get those goals, and he was able to score a brace, in their last game. So when we look at Aston Villa, I think it's going to be a high-scoring match, goals at both ends, With Villa, they've been able to score frequently, on the break, while Arsenal, they're a team that takes their time to build up play, and chances. I'm suggesting it's going to be a very lively encounter. So for me, it's going to be a close battle with goals. But Arsenal, due to their home form recently, they've found a way, even when they are not playing beautifully, to get all 3 points. And looking at how Arsenal have been able to perform at home, it's going to be. I think it's going to go in Arsenal's favor.
And obviously, the last game of tonight, Manchester United taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, you look at Manchester United. they've been able to play very well. They are expected, to control most of, the possession, and creating, scoring chances for themselves, despite, having injuries. Wolves also are struggling at the bottom of the league table, just getting about 2 points, in all their league games. So I mean, this has been a side that has been really abysmal. And you look at tactically, Manchester United have been able to build, that pressure football and be able to, look for early goals, through breakthrough. So I mean, the defensive block for Wolves will be deep, but Manchester United, found it easy the last time. Though they are without key players, I feel they're going to still have it easy, with this Wolves team.
And let's see how it goes. I'm sure when we come back tomorrow, we'll have enough time to look at some of the results in Palabo.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to come back tomorrow, bigger and better, to give them the result the way it was played. All
right. It's been a wonderful time doing this with you. Let's do this again tomorrow. But we cannot leave without telling you that Anthony Joshua is our sports extraordinaire this evening. Anthony Joshua had a very ghastly accident, but he survived it. 2 of his colleagues died in that one.
Yeah, it's a sad one for Anthony Joshua, but before boxing, one and sports, where he's happy that Anthony Joshua survived, also with the driver. So it's a good one that we saw survivors, and Anthony Joshua was actually lucky, to survive that one. But also condolences to those who also lost their lives too.
My name is Ekbo Temple. This is what we call it a wrap on today's edition of Sports Extra. We'll be back tomorrow for another beautiful edition. Hopefully, we'll bring you the results from the African Cup of Nations, and Nigeria. Hopefully, we soar high, as well as other teams. Get to see the best of the best, and then the English Premier League. Make our time to go watch those games. But remember, it's one game football without violence. I did the show with the Palebo. Against the Palebo. It's always a beautiful time doing this with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here always. Thank you.
It's the retired period, and tomorrow is 31st, the last day in the year 2025. Please make a time and keep a date with us, because it promises to be another lovely moment here when we bring you the best of the best on Sports Extraordinary. Until then, have a blissful night rest and stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.